I live in Florida, and my friends and I used to get a thrill out of ding-dong ditching. We thought it was the funniest thing ever, sprinting away, hearts pounding, barely holding back our laughter. It was our own little tradition, with a pattern to decide who had to ring the bell. My friends, let's call them Michael, Jason, and Kevin, knew the rules well. First, Jason would ring the doorbell, then me, then Michael, then Kevin. Then, we'd restart the cycle. Simple. Fair. One summer night, the air thick with humidity, we decided to take things up a notch. There was a neighborhood behind ours, filled with mansions, rich people with their perfect lawns and luxury cars. We figured their reactions would be even better than the regular houses we hit. So, we went there, laughing under our breaths, our sneakers barely making a sound against the pavement. Then we saw it, a massive white house, towering over the others like some kind of palace. I looked it up later. It had 6 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms. The kind of house where the owners probably had security cameras everywhere, but that didn't stop us. It was my turn to ring the doorbell. Just as I was about to step forward, I froze. A man was already standing there, near the entrance, talking on his phone. He was tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in dark clothes. Something about him unsettled me, but the rules were the rules. My friends wouldn't let me back out. "Do it," Jason whispered, grinning. I swallowed hard, stepped up quickly, and pressed the doorbell. Ding dong. The moment the chime echoed inside, I bolted. But the man wasn't surprised. He didn't hesitate. He turned, his face expressionless, and sprinted after us. "Run!" Michael shouted. We tore down the street, but he was fast, way faster than he should have been. He didn't just chase us for a few steps and give up like most people did. He kept going, his footsteps closing in. We rounded a corner and dove behind some thick bushes, panting, our hearts hammering. The man stopped chasing us, but he didn't leave. We watched as he sprinted around the back of his house and disappeared. "What's he doing?" Kevin whispered. We waited. 5 minutes. 10. 30. Still no sign of him. Finally, we left, uneasy but relieved. The next night, Kevin's cousin, Ryan, came over. He had heard about our little game and wanted in. We figured, why not? But this time, we stayed closer to our own neighborhood. There was a big brick house we had always avoided. 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a wide front lawn. But the real reason we avoided it? The family had teenage sons, guys who wouldn't just let us get away. "We should skip this one," Michael said. "Nah, it's perfect," Jason argued. "Besides, Ryan has no idea. Let him do it." So we convinced him. Ryan, oblivious to the risk, rang the doorbell and took off. We all scattered, hiding behind trash cans and parked cars, snickering to ourselves. Then the front door burst open. One of the older sons, maybe 18 or 19, stormed out, eyes scanning the street. And then, he spotted Ryan. "There. Got you." Ryan tried to run, but the guy was faster. He tackled him hard onto the sidewalk. Ryan yelled, struggling, but the guy didn't let go. Another brother joined him, and together they dragged Ryan inside their house, slamming the door shut. Michael and Jason were at my house, so it was just Kevin and me who saw everything. We stood frozen, horrified. "What do we do?" Kevin whispered. Before we could decide, the front door opened again. The older brothers weren't alone this time. Their dad was with them, and they were leading Ryan down the street, to Kevin's house. We followed from a distance, watching as they knocked on Kevin's front door. His parents answered, confusion turning to disappointment as they listened. A long, serious conversation followed. Then, Ryan was forced to apologize. Kevin and I stayed hidden, watching it all play out. We never touched that house again. But that wasn't the scariest part. A few weeks later, we got cocky again. We picked another house, one directly across the street from the brick house. My turn. I stepped up, heart racing, and pressed the doorbell. The door didn't just open, it flew open. And the man inside wasn't just some annoyed homeowner. He had a gun. I don't know if he meant to shoot or just scare us, but I wasn't waiting to find out. We ran like hell, sprinting deeper into the neighborhood. We didn't stop. We ran and ran until my lungs felt like they would burst. That was the last time we ever ding-dong ditched anyone. Because this time, we weren't sure if we'd make it out alive. Even though we had sworn off ding-dong ditching, the fear from that night never truly left us. Something about that man, the way he moved, the way he reacted, felt different from any other encounter we had before. It was almost like he had been waiting for us. For the next few days, paranoia hung over me like a dark cloud. Every time I walked outside, I felt like someone was watching. At first, I convinced myself it was just my imagination. But then, weird things started happening. Michael was the first to notice. "Hey, have you guys seen that black truck parked down the street? It's been there every day since, you know." I hadn't noticed it before, but once Michael pointed it out, I started seeing it too. A sleek, black pickup, parked at different spots along our neighborhood but never too far from one of our houses. Some days it was down the street from Kevin's place. Other times it was near Jason's backyard. And once, I saw it parked right in front of my house. "Maybe it's just a coincidence," Kevin said, though his voice wavered. "Nah, man," Jason muttered. "What if it's him? The guy from the house?" We tried to brush it off, but deep down, we all knew something was off. We started being more cautious, avoiding walking alone at night, double-checking that our doors were locked. But none of that stopped what came next. One evening, about a week after our last ding-dong ditching incident, I was home alone. My parents had gone out for dinner, and my little sister was at a friend's house. I was lying on the couch, scrolling through my phone, when I heard it. Ding-dong. I froze. No one ever rang our doorbell this late. For a long moment, I just sat there, my body stiff with fear. Then, slowly, I crept toward the front window, peeking through the blinds. At first, I didn't see anything. The porch was empty. But then, just as I was about to turn away, I saw movement. A shadow slipping around the side of my house. I backed away from the window, my heartbeat hammering in my ears. My mind raced. Should I call someone? Should I lock myself in my room? Then, my phone buzzed. A new message from Jason. "Dude. Look outside." I swallowed hard, my hands shaking as I typed back. "Why? Just do it. Now." Dread pooled in my stomach as I took a few hesitant steps back to the window. This time, I didn't have to look long. The black truck was parked across the street. And someone was standing right next to it, staring straight at my house. I ducked away from the window, my breath shallow. My phone buzzed again. "Jason, do you see him?" Me, "Yeah." "What do we do?" "Jason, stay inside. Lock your doors. I'm getting Michael and Kevin." I didn't need to be told twice. My fingers fumbled as I turned the deadbolt, then the chain lock. I checked the back door too, making sure it was shut tight. The house felt suffocatingly silent. I strained my ears, trying to pick up any sound outside. A creak. My blood ran cold. It wasn't from inside the house. It was from the porch. Slow, deliberate footsteps. I pressed my back against the wall, barely daring to breathe. Then came another sound. A soft tapping on the window. I didn't look. I couldn't. My body refused to move. Then my phone vibrated again. Another message. Jason, don't move. We're almost there. I squeezed my eyes shut. The tapping grew more insistent. Like whoever was outside knew I was there. Knew I was too scared to look. Then. Ding dong. The doorbell. Loud. Mocking. My hands clenched into fists. I wanted to call someone, Jason, my parents, the police, but I was too afraid the sound would give me away. I could only stand there, frozen, as the knocking started. First slow. Then harder. Louder. Bang. 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 Then silence. I counted the seconds in my head. 10. 20. A full minute. Nothing. My phone buzzed again. Michael, we're outside. Open the back door. I bolted to the kitchen, unlocked the back door, and yanked it open. Jason, Michael, and Kevin rushed in, their faces pale. He was just standing there, Michael whispered. Did he say anything? I shook my head. Just knocked. Kevin swore under his breath. What the hell does he want? None of us had an answer. We stayed together that night, too afraid to be alone. Every now and then, we'd peek through the blinds, but the truck was gone. The street was empty. But deep down, we knew this wasn't over. The next few nights were restless. None of us spoke about what had happened out loud, as if saying it would make it real. But we all felt it, that deep, gnawing paranoia, the lingering sense that we were being watched. Jason was the first to break the silence. I think we should tell someone. Michael scoffed. And say what? Hey, we pissed off the wrong guy, and now he's stalking us. What if the cops laugh in our faces? Kevin rubbed his temples. Maybe we're overreacting. Maybe it was just some guy messing with us. I wanted to believe that. I really did. But then Jason pulled out his phone. I checked our Ring camera footage from last night. His voice was barely above a whisper. I think you guys should see this. He played the clip. The timestamp read 3:07 a.m. At first, the footage showed nothing but the quiet street, a single flickering street lamp casting eerie shadows. But then, movement. A tall, thin figure stepped into frame, walking slowly up my driveway. My stomach churned as I watched the man stop at my front door. He didn't knock. Didn't ring the bell. He just stood there. Breathing. Staring. And then, after a full minute, he turned his head. And looked straight into the camera. His face was gaunt, his eyes sunken, but what made my skin crawl was his expression. He was grinning. A slow, sickening grin that stretched too wide, as if he knew we were watching. Then he lifted a hand. Not to knock. Not to open the door. But to wave. The video cut off. No one spoke. Jason locked his phone, his hands shaking. He knows, Michael finally murmured. He knows we're watching him. That's when the real horror started. The next night, Kevin's little sister woke up screaming. She swore she saw a shadow standing outside her window, just standing there, breathing against the glass. Kevin's dad rushed outside with a bat, but the yard was empty. No footprints. No sign that anyone had been there. Then it happened again. And again. Each night, one of us would hear something. A tap on the window. A creaking floorboard when we were sure we were alone. And each morning, there would be nothing. No proof. No evidence. Just that sinking feeling in our guts that we were being hunted. And then, on the 7th night, Jason disappeared. Jason was gone. His parents thought he had snuck out, but we knew better. His phone was left on his nightstand, his window was locked from the inside, and his bed was still warm when his mom came to check on him. It was as if he had simply vanished into thin air. Michael, Kevin, and I met at the park the next morning, all of us shaken, exhausted. We didn't speak at first. There were no words for the fear clawing at our insides. Michael finally broke the silence. "What the hell do we do?" "We have to find him," I said, my voice hollow. "We started this. We need to end it." Kevin shook his head. "What if he's already, what if it's too late?" I didn't want to think about that. I couldn't. Then we make sure no one else ends up like him. The only place we could think to go was the house. The one where it all started. The sun was setting when we made our way there. The house loomed over us, bigger than I remembered. The windows were dark, the porch light flickering weakly. Michael swallowed hard. "We go in, we look for anything, any clue about Jason, and we get the hell out." Agreed? None of us wanted to be the first to step forward. Eventually, I forced myself to move, my heart hammering. The front door was locked, but the side gate was slightly ajar. As if someone had been expecting us. The backyard was silent. Too silent. No wind. No distant hum of cars. Just an eerie stillness. Then I saw it. A single light glowing from the basement window. Kevin whispered, "No way in hell I'm going down there." But I was already moving. My feet carried me forward, toward the basement doors. Michael cursed under his breath and followed. Kevin hesitated, then trailed behind. The doors creaked open with an agonizing groan. The stairs descended into pure darkness, except for the dim glow from below. My breath came fast and shallow as I stepped inside. The basement was filled with old furniture, dust-covered crates, and something worse, something that made my stomach drop. Photos. Dozens of them. Taped to the walls, pinned to the wooden beams. Pictures of us. Taken from the shadows. In our yards, outside our houses, even through our windows. My hands trembled as I reached for one. It was a shot of me sleeping in my bed. Kevin let out a choked sound. "This guy, he's been watching us for months." Then Michael pointed to the center of the room. There, propped against a chair, was Jason's hoodie. Empty. Just the hoodie, folded neatly. Like a sick message. Then we heard it. A slow, deliberate creak from the stairs behind us. We turned as one, our breath caught in our throats. The man stood at the top of the basement steps, his face hidden in shadow. He didn't move. Didn't speak. Just stood there, blocking the only exit. A low chuckle echoed in the dark. The lights flickered. And everything went black.